I'm going to be doing some work on a friend's car today, BMW 635D, 3 litre twin turbo E63. Beautiful bit of kit, 282 brake, very nice car. This is for track use only and the vehicle isn't used on the road. We've removed the DPF, removed the swirl flaps, because obviously they're a hazard. If you have got a BMW and it's got swirl flaps, my advice to you is take them off and delete them. They're located inside your air intake. They do have a habit of breaking off and falling into your engine. Plenty of videos on YouTube. If you just Google swirl flaps, it will come up. Final stage of the operation today, to give the car a little bit more poke when it's on the track, is to delete the EGR valve. I have deleted it electronically, but I just want to be sure that nothing is recycling through the engine, so it is burning pure fuel, giving us more brake horsepower. I would have probably thought we're probably going to be looking at 340 once the job's completed, so that's an extra 40 brake, 45 brake maybe. That's just from deleting the DPF and removing the EGR valve. I'm just going to show you the kit that I bought online to do the job. Cheap enough, 50 quid. You can do it yourself at home. Feel free to follow this guide if you've got a BMW 6 Series. I'm sure that most models will be very similar. I have noticed there's a lot of videos online as well, but nothing specific to the BMW 635D 3 litre twin turbo, so I'm going to make a video on that today. I'm just going to show you what you need. Right, so over here I have the replacement for the EGR valve. As you can see, there's no entrance for the EGR cooler because I will be removing it from the engine. Then you get a gasket for said piece, a block for the exhaust where the cooler connects to the exhaust. That's got to be blocked off as well. Gasket for that, and then plugs for obviously coolant pipes. These all need to be plugged off and capped off just to be sure. You can leave the cooler on and use these to block the EGR valve, but I'm just going to totally remove it. It makes more sense. It's just going to make it so easy to work on the engine at the front, to change all of the belts. And that's pretty much it, guys. That was all 50 quid. Make sure you get the right one. I bought one from Poland, and I bought another one from Amazon. The one from Poland was probably the better of the two. That was £50. One off Amazon, I think it was about £32 off Amazon. Obviously you're going to need the relevant kit for the car you're going to be deleting the EGR on. Let's get into it. Here we are with the engine. EGR valve located just under the cover. We'll get all the bolts off, take that off, and then we'll remove it. This is your cooler down here. That goes down there to your turbo, and that's where we're going to cap off the exhaust. We'll need to take the airbox off, and obviously the intake pipe work. It's not a massive job. We'll cap all the water pipes and then get it deleted. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so first step, we've got a bolt here, bolt down there, there's one at the back, one over there, I've got another one at the front here. Just going to get them off and take the top off. Okay, so taking top of the engine off, or top of the top cover off I should say. Obviously you have to remove the oil cap, but a word of advice: once you've removed the top, put the oil cap back in place. Keep it in situ. You don't want anything falling in the engine at all. Earlier I did touch on the swirl flaps. These are something that open and close inside your intake to improve fuel efficiency. They do a couple of other bits and pieces, but they're not worth having. Basically they're right down there. If you take this off, inside there, down there, there is some small flaps on a steel bar that goes right along all of the intake, and they open and close. And over time, if you've done 100,000 miles in your car, you want to take them off because they will be falling apart. Okay, so this is your EGR here. This is your what's it called? Your shutter valve. Now, obviously for acceleration. This is your intake pipe. Here is the cooler all the way down there, and it goes down there to the turbo and the exhaust. I'm going to get the cooling box off now, and then we'll move forward. Cooler box is held on by obviously your air intake. This is your MAF sensor. This controls the amount of air that flows into the engine. I've got bolt here. I've got a bolt there. I'll just undo the Jubilee clip, and then we should be able to take the box off, and then I should be able to get to the pipe to pull that off as well. Okay, so I have the airbox off. just under the 2 bolts I showed you earlier. If you look down there, you can see where the other cap goes. That is the end of the cooler. So just need to get into it and make sure that we're taking everything off that needs to come off. Obviously you can see the cooler a little bit better as well now. Now I'm going to get into it and I'm going to remove the EGR. Okay, so breather box is off. I've also taken off the breather valve for the crankcase, which just plugs on just here. As you can see, that piece sticking out there. Undone this bolt here and then just pulled it off the bottom of the turbo down there, and then it simply lifts out. As you can see, there is a little bit of oil there, which is a little bit of a concern. Shouldn't really be oil around there. Turbo impeller, you can get your hand in, just make sure it's not wobbling. If it's wobbling, your bearings are fucked. Get it replaced before the fucking thing blows up. But yeah, it's all good in there. So now I'm going to move on. Let's put this down here. Okay, so taking off the bits that I need to take off down there. Now I'm going to move to the EGR. Basically here, all you need to do is undo this clip, take this off completely. I mean, remove it totally. You got 4 bolts, 1, 2, and 2 more at the bottom. And then that whole assembly will come off. Undo your clip here. It just pulls out. Ooh, something like that. We've got a screwdriver. Just lift that up. Okay. Just so that it pops up loose. There we go. And then you should be able to just, there we go. It comes off nice and easy. And then we're just going to tuck that out of the way. Just like that. And there we go. There's your shutter valve, and behind that is your EGR. Let's get them off and I'll show you. Right, I've had to take the top bolt out here, and there's 2 more just underneath here, so that I can get a disc bolt on the EGR. I pulled off the cooler pipe, disconnected the shutter valve electrics, and put the intake pipe to one side. I'm now going to remove this little pipe here just by undoing this. I'm going to clip at the bottom so I can get to these bolts, and then we'll get this off. Okay, EGR is off, shutter valve removed. As you can see, the gasket into the intake. As I said, you do get carbon buildup. This is your EGR with the vacuum, and obviously where the cooler attaches. This is your shutter valve. Obviously when you accelerate, it opens and closes, allowing air into the engine. A little bit of oil in there, nothing to be concerned about obviously with the intake, but this is all part and parcel of making sure the engine stays cleaner, runs cleaner. It's pointless having these on the engine. It just restricts the performance and clogs up your engine with crap. Okay, so onward. Here's the cooler down there. Now we're going to take that off. Basically there are some bolts. There's 2 bolts over this side and 2 bolts over this side. Then I need to undo the bracket down there that's attached to the exhaust, put the cap on, remove the cooler. Then I'll reattach the new one and we'll go from there. I can't see any complications. Obviously it's just a bolt, it's a thermostat. And then cooler here, we'll get that all off. A couple of bolts at the back, but down here, and a couple of bolts over here. We'll get them off, get the cooler off, and then I'll show you. Okay, halfway through the removal now. I had to take this pipe off when it goes on there like that, just so that I can get in the bolts, because you have got a bolt bottom of there and the top of here, and this pipe and this silver pipe get in the way. So I've took this off, and now I'm at this stage. This is your thermostat. I've took the innards out. Oh, sorry, there. See, as you can see now, it's wobbling because I'm undone them bolts. I'm taking a bolt from here. There's 1 more bolt underneath there, and then 2 bolts in there where it goes to the exhaust, and then it should come off. Yay! Let's do it. Just a word of advice with working around the turbo, the last thing you need is a bolt to fall in there, because if it does, you're in a world of pain. So stuff some tissue in it, because obviously the bolts are just here. So you put some tissue in the turbo just in case you drop a socket or you drop a bolt, so nothing can go in there. Another word of advice is use a small ratchet to get into all the nooks and crannies. Also, you're going to want some Allen keys. These are so you can get in here to get the bolts out. You're never going to get in with this. If you're using one of these, you can only get the EGR off, your shutter valve, and the bolts on this side of the engine. Behind the cooler, you're going to need something long and thin. So these are ideal. Just get a normal set. One of them will fit. I think it's a 8mm. I think, not 100%, because I haven't got a holder for it giving me the information. So I don't know. These are mine, just a standard set, but they made the job a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm going to disconnect the exhaust piece, and then I'll show you it off. And there we have it, removed. As you can see where the bolts were, one here, one there, and then we had another one here, and then we have the two connectors down there. And as you can see that hole, that's where the cap's going to go, down there. Obviously we've got water pipes in different places that we're going to have to cap off. That's all part of the kit. There we go. There's the cooler, the pipe. So not a big job, a little bit fiddly, but nothing major. So okay, let's get the kit and get it fitted. Okay, so I've now bolted on the replacement EGR cap. As you can see, straight through, nothing in there. Nowhere for anything else to connect apart from the boost pipe and the shutter valve, which I'm now going to fit by simply bolting it to this side. Okay, so everything back together there, nice and good. Put this little pipe back on here, just this little one here that was going from to the cooler, and as you can see I've put a cap in there that came with the kit. What I'll do now, tighten up the Jubilee clip just to make sure that it doesn't come out under pressure, and then that end of the job's done. Reconnect the boost pipe, and then it's to work this side. Nearly there guys, nearly there. Okay, so boost pipe back on, simply a case of doing the clip. I've reconnected the shutter valve, and I've also just blanked off the vacuum with small bolt. Obviously make sure it's tight, and then just tuck it away somewhere down the side of the engine out of sight. And that's nice and neat now. Capped off, looking very good. So over to the other side now. I'm going to cap this pipe here, as you can see, and then we're going to cap off the exhaust manifold in there. I don't know if you can see that. There we go, the hole down there, that's part of that kit. Cap that off, cap the pipe off, and I think we're pretty much done. Then we'll start the car. Okay, that's the pipe capped off. Really easy to put in. All you've got to do, push it in. Make sure your Jubilee clip is nice and tight. You don't want that popping out under pressure because you'll lose all your water. And it comes with a handy bleed as well. So that unscrews, so you can bleed some water off the system if you need to, which is really handy. So that's that done. Let's get into the cap. Looking good. Okay, so as mentioned, this is the cap that I'm going to put over the hole on the exhaust, because obviously the exhaust gas has come through, recirculates, goes through the EGR back into your engine. You can imagine the damage that's doing and how dirty it is inside. Take it off. So I'm going to cap it now, just to make sure that everything is as it should be. Okay, so that is the main nuts and bolts of the EGR delete. As you can see, I'll try and get in there. Where are we? I can't see anything. Obviously the camera's pointing the right way, doesn't it? Okay, so that's the turbo, and there you go. You see there, that's the cap that I've just fitted to the exhaust, just to make sure that nothing blows. Capped pipe, cooler removed, EGR deleted. Thank you. Engine back together, and let's get it started. So got the pipe back on for the turbo, for the air intake, re-secured all the cables, reconnected vacuum for the crankcase. Now all I need to do is put the airbox back on and we're done. It looks pretty good. Loads more space down here now so I can get my hand in if I need to change the belts or anything. Just need to keep an eye on it, make sure nothing's leaking, but I'm fairly confident that it's all good. Be nice to see how she performs, especially around that track. Okay, all back together. Put the MAF sensor back in. Be a good idea to give that a spray down with some MAF sensor cleaner if you've got any, because this can cause your engine to run rich. It'll also cause a failure on an MOT on emissions if it's not correct, because your engine will either run rich or it won't run rich enough. This baby here is what controls all of that. So if you're having issues with smoking, issues with high fuel usage, it could be because the MAF sensor is dirty. It is literally like a human hair that monitors air from here into your turbo. That's what it does. And if that isn't right, your engine will be getting too much fuel and not enough air, or too much air and not enough fuel. So you need to check it and make sure it's clean. Other than that, guys, that's job done. I'm going to put the cover on and then I'm going to start off for you. And there we have it, people. Job done. Cooler deleted. That should give us maximum horsepower now. Nothing's going back into the engine. It is now burning pure diesel. No second-hand fumes the EGR would have sent through the engine previously. Now it is just burning fuel, just like an engine should. A lot of work, but it's worth it for the miles per gallon and for the BHP. If you're thinking about doing it to your Beamer, definitely do it. It is worth it. It's like a different car. Well, guys, there you go. Job completed. It took me an hour. I know I did a few clips and whatnot. I didn't want to keep filming it because it just gets boring. What I want to do is step by step. If any of you are unsure, feel free to drop me a line. I'm happy to discuss. We could talk. Any information you need to know. I know the E63 engine like the back of my hand. So if you need any information, like and follow. There's plenty more to come. I've got a Z4 as well. So I do use that on the track, but that's mainly my road car. I've got a few electrical issues with it, airbags and indicators work outside the car but don't work inside the car. Roof suddenly stopped working, batteries draining. So I'm going to show you how you can diagnose the problems with the electrics on a Z4, because they are beautiful cars and they don't deserve to die just because of some dodgy wiring. So follow me, guys, plenty more to come. Just wanted to show you it all off the car, guys. There you go. That is quite a big chunk, isn't it? EGR valve, cooler, that's where it attaches to the exhaust. As you can see, I'll just put my seat, sooty, and that recycles and goes through here all the way back in your intake. Trust me, that's messing your engine.